We see plenty of quarterback questions for Bears coach Matt Nagy today following the less than stellar showing by the offense against the Browns yesterday. Nagy said he hasn't made a decision who his starting quarterback will be against the Lions this week, adding that rookie Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, all under consideration. The Bears need to fire Nagy now, advises ESPN's Dan Orlovsky.
He had 149 days since the moment he drafted Justin Fields to build this game plan. It was the worst offensive game plan I've ever seen in my life. And it was either intentional or negligent. You either showed everybody that you're incapable of taking talent and building a plan in an offense around a certain style and skill set talent-wise, or you took that talent and said, I don't want to do it.
Dan Orlovsky on Greeny with Mike Greenberg. NBA news now. Pelicans power forward Zion Williamson had surgery this offseason on a broken foot. The team is hoping he'll be ready for the start of the regular season. Kyrie Irving not at Nets Media Day at Barclays Center today because of New York City's COVID-19 protocols. He declined to discuss his vaccination status or his intentions in dealing with the matter.
We're back on Tuesday, reacting to Monday Night Football as the Cowboys look for their second straight win and first in the division. We'll tell you if their defense showed up against Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Tuesday morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio.
The Early Line with Mario and Musso. Mario and Musso have your early line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I mean, we're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
Hey, good Monday afternoon, September the 27th. Matt Musso alongside Mario Jerez to my right. Casey Gaines, Taylor Sharp on the audio board and video boards, respectively. Couple W's to recap today, Mario. LSU gets the win 28-25 in Starkville on Saturday. The Saints get the win 28-13 in Foxborough on Sunday. Recap the betting weekend and look at some early lines, man, which college football's got some giant spreads for some of the most marquee games of the weekend. We'll tell you about a potential hangover spot for one team in the ACC in particular. And, of course, Tyler Moody will be along to close the show with some Major League Baseball picks. Just 7 days left in the Major League Baseball regular season, so get the money with Tyler while you can. Mario, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. Not as well as you, though. 6-0 weekend. Yeah, I see you. First time on the show. Somebody has a perfect weekend.
Call it how I see them, Mario. Sometimes it works out. This was one of the weekends it worked out. 6-0 total in the last 2 weeks in the NFL. 6-0 altogether last week. 18-8-1 so far on the season. So it was a good weekend, man. It's a good weekend.
Keep riding the wave, man. Here I was pumped up, finally going undefeated in my underdog picks because you had been killing the underdog picks. But very happy for you, man. Good job.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. More on that later.
Yes, definitely. A lot more on that. But I'm doing really well, Musso. I'm really excited for the weekend, man. You realize LSU is coming home to let's say close to a full Tiger Stadium. I don't know if it's going to be jam-packed to the rafters, but I'm expecting a really good atmosphere in Tiger Stadium this Saturday. First SEC game this season. First time a lot of these guys, including Max Johnson, has really seen that environment of Tiger Stadium or what it can be. And then the Saints on Sunday, Musso, are going to return home in front of a full Superdome crowd for the first time since Kirk Cousins beat them in the playoffs back in January of 2020, about 18 months ago. So very excited for the weekend, man.
The Saints opened as an 8-point favorite. I mean, I know we'll get into that a little bit more too later, but you got to like that line a lot right now, I feel like. The Giants are not good. Their offensive line is miserable, and the Saints' defense the pass rush the Saints have had the first few weeks has been very good, so you like their odds there. Not only that, what you just said, returning home to a full Superdome, the people have been itching, not only just since 2020, the playoff game, but just everything that's happened around New Orleans and that region of the state here in the last month. They are itching to get into that dome, and it is going to be a loud, raucous environment. And, I mean, Saints -8 right now at home. Kind of got to like that.
You got to love it. The way they just harassed Matt Jones, I think they're very capable of harassing Daniel Jones just as much, if not more.
Yeah, because that offensive line for the Giants, quite bad. All right, let's recap some LSU football. Tigers get the win 28-25 over Mississippi State. It was a game that, while ended as a 3-point margin, LSU had an 18-point lead with 11 and a half minutes left in the game. I mean, they were in control really from the start, and they never trailed. It was never tied. It was just kind of all LSU right up until the end, where Coach O even has said it. They probably didn't rotate as well as they could have on defense. Had some guys tired. They were out there for 88 plays. A lot of bend, a lot of don't break. Great play in the secondary. Great open field tackling by LSU for the second week in a row. All of that compiles together. You get the win, and you're 1-0 in the SEC. And I know some people might point to it and say, yeah, but you were up the 18 and you only won by 3. Yeah, it was just Mississippi State. And I look at that and I say, you never apologize for winning anything in this league because it's so tough. It's a win is a win. You take them how you get them. You're 1-0. You move on to Auburn. See if you can't go 2-0. There's nothing to be ashamed of in winning.
Well said, man. Well said. And you saw a lot of good stuff from the defense, despite, the fact that Mississippi State outgained LSU, despite the rally that you just mentioned at the end. That first half, when they gave up 3 points the entire half, it was the first time in a long time, Musso, at least for me, that it felt and it looked like we were watching an LSU defense. And the game plan from Durante Jones was excellent. From the official LSU game notes after the game, this was the first time that the Tigers started a game in dime defense, 5 defensive backs, only 3 down linemen, since they faced Texas Tech and Patrick Mahomes in the 2015 Texas Bowl. And obviously they've mixed some dime coverages in throughout that time period, but it was clear that LSU was coming out with a clear defensive game plan to limit that air raid, which they did not do at all last season. And it was really nice to see. It was really nice specifically to see LSU play a zone against this opponent. And then just chilling is, who got the pick again?
Cordell Flott,
who also forced the fumble on the drive before. He was just sitting there in his own defense. It looked very similar to Eli Ricks' interception against UCLA. So you love the adjustment. You love to see the defense flying around. They're clearly playing with a lot more confidence, especially guys like Flott, like Damone Clark, who are playing a lot better than they did last season in this new scheme. Gotta love what you saw from LSU, especially on defense.
You mentioned holding them to 3 points in the first half. They held them to 3 points until 6 minutes and 48 seconds left in the ball game.
But just getting
the whole
halftime,
game.
Just getting to halftime, holding the opponent out of the end zone was progress. That's
nice. A team that put up 44 points on you last year. They didn't score their first touchdown until under 7 minutes left in the game.
Yes. And just because the game dictated it that way.
Exactly. I mean, but it was, and I liked, you mentioned the adjustment just in total from last year, but the in-game adjustments, because that's something I was so interested in seeing because you didn't see it against UCLA. And now you have Durante Jones, who's a young coordinator, going up against another offensive scheming guru head coach, but the in-game adjustment was there too. I know we kind of talked about this pre-show. It was the drive in the second quarter. LSU's up 7-0. Mississippi State's finally starting to find some stuff in the passing game. They get down inside the red zone. LSU takes the timeout. They alter their front a little bit, come out. State ends up going more to a running game in the red zone, and LSU stuffs it and gets a goal line stand, and that's how you end up at that 7-3 margin. That was a massive sequence in the game because you go into the half 7-7 as opposed to 7-3. They were starting to build momentum in the passing game. You might not feel as good as you did if that doesn't happen. So credit to Coach O, credit to Durante Jones, credit to the players for the in-game adjustments that allowed them to really just stay in control of this football game.
And I'm curious to see them face Auburn this weekend and Tank Bigsby, because that was the formula to beat LSU's defense, establishing the line of scrimmage the way UCLA did in week 1 and then building your offense off of that. DTR made the plays when he needed to make the plays. So I still have some questions about LSU's run defense when they do play those kind of teams, including Auburn, who they'll see this Saturday. But facing the opponent you were facing, it was a perfect defensive game plan, and you love some of the individual efforts that we mentioned, including Clark and including Micah Baskerville as well at the linebacker position, as well as Cordell Flott, who balled out at defensive back. But talking about the offense, there's still a lot of criticism for Max Johnson, and some of it is warranted. He's still leaving some plays out there, underthrew Smith on that interception. But at the end of the day, these are the cold, hard facts, Musso. Max Johnson, 5-1 as a starter for LSU. He's the first player in program history to pass for at least 3 touchdowns in each of his first 6 starts. And right now, he's number 2 nationally in touchdown passes, tied for first in the SEC with Bryce Young with 15 scores. So Max is doing a lot of good, but there is some things that he needs to clean up.
It's tough, Mario, to look at this team in general and try to say that they haven't improved from week to week, because they have. Like, it's almost undeniable. Max Johnson, to me, is probably one of the more tangible examples of that improvement. Is it perfect? Of course not. He absolutely still has more things he can work on. But it's important to note that he's only made 6 starts in his career.
Yeah, 5-1.
5-1, but it's only 6 starts. He's still a young starting quarterback, but you can see the improvement. You could see it. I know we talked about this too pre-show, and we can do it right now. You saw it on the first touchdown pass of the game Saturday. He sidestepped the free rusher, climbed in the pocket, and hit Keishawn Butte. He does not make that play week 1 against UCLA. That doesn't happen, but it happened now. You look at the RPO touchdown, the second play from scrimmage in the second half. Pressure's coming. He doesn't make that throw in week 1, but this time he puts it on Keishawn Butte's face mask while taking a hit from the safety. That's the improvement. Could he get better on the deep ball? Sure, but that time can come. Does he still get happy feet a little too much in the pocket? Sure. To the guy's, benefit, to give him the benefit of the doubt, he's running for his life a lot back there because the pass protection still hasn't been great. But there is actual improvement that you can see from Max Johnson. You're starting to see the poise come back a little bit. The completion percentage is there. The passing yards are there. The touchdowns are definitely there. And honestly, even though he's under pressure and there's been some missteps in the passing game, the protection of the football and the decision-making has been there for Max Johnson.
Tangible progress, Musso. It's nice to see. I texted you right as soon as that first touchdown pass against Mississippi State happened, and I can't repeat exactly what I said on air in describing LSU's offensive line up to this point, but it's clear that Max is adjusting to his subpar offensive line, and you made a great point. It looked a lot like the UCLA game in that Arnett, the Mississippi State defensive coordinator, was trying to attack Max. He was bringing the pressure on those third downs and trying to force Max Johnson to beat them, and he did a great job on that specific play that you're bringing up. I feel like before he maybe would have tried to retreat or he would have tried to make something else happen, but he trusted the play. He climbed in the pocket and he found Butte on a perfect touchdown pass on a crossing route. And I love the progress that we're seeing, man. And even the interception, again, I was texting you during the game, probably don't throw at 13. But even the interception, I don't mind as much because the receiver, Smith, had a step on the defensive back there. Max just underthrew him. Next time, do better. But I like that he's taking those plays, and I like that the interception isn't like he's forcing something like he was against UCLA and the really bad interception that he threw. So you're going to need a little bit more out of Max Johnson, I think, when you get to the tougher opponents on the schedule. But as you see the growth.
You'll continue to get, that's the thing, you'll continue to get more because you do see the growth. It was a good win, man. Look, it's a really good win. One of the things, hell, screw it. Repeat it one more time. You weren't going to learn anything, McNeese, Central Michigan, but you maybe we're going to see a little bit of improvement. Could that improvement carry over? Parts of it did, 100%. That's a good win. Again, you don't ever apologize for winning, especially in the SEC West. You're 1-0. You got an Auburn team coming in this week, which could end up having a pretty familiar face starting at quarterback. We have all week to talk about that, though, and it'll be at 8 o'clock, a Saturday night in Death Valley. Everybody will be probably pretty liquored up, and it should be a really good night in Tiger Stadium, and you have a good chance to go to 2-0.
Yep, Auburn hasn't won there since 1999. A whole lot on the line for LSU. And before we break, some interesting stats that kind of show the continued development of this team or the sample size and the numbers still being there. LSU only had 1 sack against Mississippi State, but they're still tied for the national lead with 18 sacks. And they're number 2 in the NCAA in tackles for loss, only behind Auburn, who has 43. LSU has 42. And last stat we have to get to, Keishawn Butte has 8 touchdowns in freaking 4 games. Like, what?
That's really good. I mean, he's just a complete difference maker. I mean, and it's you know there's certain situations that he's getting the ball and they just can't stop it. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it because he's just that much better than anybody you have on your sideline.
Yeah, he's so good.
He's a complete difference maker.
I said it before, man, and he's still got a whole another year on campus, God willing, if everything goes right. He's on the same level with Odell Beckham, with Landry, with any great LSU receiver, and the numbers support it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So, and you know what? I'm glad you mentioned, before we go to break, you mentioned the sacks. LSU, one of my favorite things about it, obviously you go to that 3-man front, you're not going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and they knew that, but they were okay with that because Coach O even kind of alluded to it, Mario, last Thursday. It was going to be tough to get home on Mississippi State anyway because they get rid of the ball so quickly. Something like 2.5 seconds or something is what he said. He said if we can get them to hold it to 3, we feel good about getting home. But at 2.5, it's going to be tough anyway. So you had to give up something in order to stop it, and it's tough to give up the thing you lead the country in, and that is the strength of your, not really just your defense, but your team really at this point has been the pass rush. But it probably wasn't even going to be that fruitful in the first place, and that might have made it a little bit easier. And the whole bend but don't break, man, it was perfect.
Yes.
It was State got 486 yards of offense, 371 through the air. Who cares? They didn't score as many points as you, and that's really the only stat that matters in the end.
The game plan was really good. Durante Jones deserves a lot of credit, but at the end of the day, it was the execution by the players because, as you said, to execute that game plan, you had to come up, you had to make tackles in space, which LSU did, Damone Clark especially, and LSU played with a lot of fire. I thought the body language was really good, and I think it's interesting to hear Kirk Herbstreit's comments on College Game Day and kind of everybody's reaction to it.
People didn't like that,
No, LSU not playing with fire, LSU not playing with the intensity on defense that we're accustomed to seeing, but after the UCLA game, probably a lot of LSU fans agreed with him, but I thought LSU did a great job of going out there. Really good body language. The defense, like I said, you could tell they had a lot of confidence in the game plan, and they executed it really well.
You mentioned Damone Clark. We would be remiss if we did not mention Damone Clark, SEC Defensive Player of the Week this year. Conference office announced that earlier this morning, so he's led the team in tackles all 4 games. He was all over the place, and look, man, the coverage skills have gotten better from Damone Clark too, so he looks like a much improved player through 4 weeks. Looks like the jump you expected him to make from 2019 to 2020, but it's happened so far this year through 4 games. So absolutely a congratulations to Damone Clark, SEC Defensive Player of the Week for week 4 in college football. We will grab our first break here. Come back. Fantasy football thought of the day is next, along with a recap of Saints at New England. Stick around. It's Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the Early Line. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Ochsner Health.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at PatientPlusUC.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Front to Back Boat Service has been family owned and operated for 30 years. And the Sherman family is NMEA certified. That's the National Marine Electronics Association at Front to Back. They are committed to improving the safety and technology of marine electronics through installer training, interface standards. And look, the fall and the winter, it's the perfect time to do that yearly maintenance you've been putting off. Get those parts you've been wanting. So schedule your appointment today at Front to Back North Airway off of Airline Highway.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. We'll recap LSU State, Saints, Patriots. Cole Kubelik will join us. It's Monday's AFR. You join us as well, 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Week 3 in the NFL, just about in the books. Philadelphia Eagles, 3.5-point underdogs tonight against Taylor's Dallas Cowboys. But talking about Sunday's action, it's time now for a few thoughts in the world of fantasy football. And taking a quick look, Musso, at some of the top performers in fantasy from over the weekend, at least in standard leagues. The top scoring quarterback was Josh Allen with 37.2 points. 358 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns for the Buffalo Bills. The best running back in fantasy this week was Kareem Hunt, who put up 24.5 points in standard leagues, had 81 rushing yards, 74 receiving yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. The top tight end in fantasy this week was Tyler Conklin from the Minnesota Vikings, who had 70 receiving yards on 7 receptions and 1 receiving touchdown, 16.5 points. Don't love him taking some of the points away from Justin Jefferson and my fantasy team, but still shout out to Tyler Conklin. And then the best performing fantasy wide receiver this week is a guy that we told you about on last week's show, a guy who was nearing a start every week category, and now he's there, bar none, and that is Mike Williams from the Los Angeles Chargers. Almost said San Diego. Proud of myself. Because Williams has had 9 targets per game this season, at least 9 targets per game, and 3 out of his 4 touchdown receptions have come in the red zone. It's clear that Lombardi and the Chargers definitely want to utilize him in that area, and he's done really, really well for them in a contract year, which is critical. He's definitely trying to earn that money. He has 31 targets for the Chargers this season, which trails only Keenan Allen, who has 33. As I said, he's a big part of the offense, and you should definitely continue to start him if he's on your squad. And one other wide receiver in the world of fantasy football that deserves a lot of props and who I hope you took, despite a lot of people saying that you should not take him, and that's Jamar Chase, who had 4 receptions, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Bengals against the Steelers, and he's actually opened his career with 3 straight games with a receiving touchdown, and he's the 9th NFL receiver since the merger to do so. He's also approaching the start every week category, so great weekends in fantasy for Mike Williams, who we told you about on this show, and Jamar Chase, who seems to have a pretty decent rapport with this Joe Burrow fella.
Yeah, remember I thought Jamar Chase, he's the one who couldn't catch anymore, right? Yeah. Yeah. 4 touchdowns already this year. I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, they got it going. Big win against the Steelers.
Huge win.
Big Ben.
Hey, man, the Bengals are tied for first in the AFC North right now.
Watch out, Cleveland and Baltimore. Big Ben a little sad to watch, not going to lie.
It's Ohio's division.
Yeah, Ohio's division. Definitely not Pittsburgh's division.
Your thought on Ben, though? I thought he was done. I didn't think he could be back.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. It's
ugly.
Yeah, it's sad to watch, man. I'll have to show you a clip after the show. But what's not ugly right now is the New Orleans Saints, especially on defense. 28-13, the victory over the New England Patriots. They were underdogs in that game, and they played really well as underdogs. We'll get to that stat in a moment, but just talking about this game, Musso, it's pretty much exactly what I expected to happen, which rarely happens, but I thought the Saints had a really good matchup against a rookie quarterback in Matt Jones. I thought getting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Marshawn Lattimore back would be critical, which it was. Those guys had huge impacts on the game, especially Marshawn Lattimore, who had 10 tackles with a splint on his finger. And then Demario Davis, man, year after year after year, he's one of the most underrated players in the entire NFL. He is the heart and soul of this New Orleans Saints defense right now. And they're flying around, played really well in this game against the Patriots. Let's see if they can keep it going in front of a rocking crowd in the Superdome this
They harassed Mac Jones all day. I mean, there was so much talk about Bill Belichick defense going up against Jameis Winston, and Jameis doesn't. We saw the real Jameis against Carolina. The one against Green Bay was a mirage. The real Jameis is the one against Carolina, and Bill Belichick's going to eat that guy up. But there was no talk ever about Mac Jones being a rookie quarterback going up against Dennis Allen, whose defenses have just regularly ranked in the top 10 in the NFL for what feels like the last 5 years. Yep. Like, there was no talk about that at all. And Sean Payton, after the Carolina game, said, we're not going to make excuses. It had nothing to do with being away because of the hurricane. It was nothing to do with people being out with COVID or the injuries or whatever. And then I sat here on Monday and said, he doesn't have to make that excuse. I'll make it for him. And you saw why we made that excuse for him Sunday, because it did matter. It did matter that you were missing all those people. And when you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, when you got Marshawn Lattimore back, Pete Werner, Peyton Turner was there, it all came back together, and you looked a lot like the defense you looked like week number 1. The Saints, you always say when you have the two extremes, the domination of week 1, the getting dominated in week 2, that they're probably somewhere in between. You saw that with the Saints defense. The Saints defense you saw this week is probably kind of what they're going to be the majority of the season. It's, they're not going to hold everybody to 3 points. 13, 20, somewhere around there. They do that, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, I think they're a lot closer than the Green Bay version than they are to the Carolina version, because this defense has been dominant for a long time. And I'm a little surprised at people saying, the Saints need to kind of change their formula, lean more on the running game and the defense. If you watch this team since 2019, that is what they've done. They did it with Drew Brees. And a lot of times, it's kind of funny, Musso, a big criticism of Sean Payton, as good and as successful as he's been, is that he's too pass happy. Sometimes he should have leaned on the run a little bit more, and sometimes in playoff games. But having Jameis Winston instead of Drew Brees almost forces you to do that, because you had to put avoiding turnovers at a premium. And they did that this week. They did it before the game even started through the media. Yep. How many times did Sean Payton talk about that stat? How mad did he look when Jameis Winston threw a touchdown pass that could have been an interception if you just think about his thought process and what he saw on the field? But they executed the formula perfectly. And again, this is kind of what they've been doing the last couple of years. This defense has been really good, and they continue to be really good this season. You have to keep leaning on them. You have to keep getting Alvin Kamara involved early, and you're going to win a lot of games, especially these next 2 against Washington and New York, which are really winnable, and you really want to get as you approach the bye week.
That's the thing that just happened. So you won yesterday. You've put yourself in a position now to potentially end up 4-1 through the first 5 games. Now, it's the NFL, and anything can happen. Any given Sunday, those guys are getting paid too. And Washington's got a pretty good defense. That's going to be a tough road trip to go up there and win that game. So maybe 3-2 is more likely. But the schedule lightens up now for the next 2 weeks going against the NFC East. And if you go out there and take care of your business, the Saints should be favored in both of those games. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that they're 4-1 going into the bye, which, given everything that has happened this offseason, would be absolutely incredible. Now, again, it's the NFL, so I probably lean more towards 3-2 at this point. You probably maybe split those, but it's not out of the realm of possibility to be 4-1, which would be incredible.
Yeah, it'd be great. And because, as I said, you're going to get a lot of guys back, especially Michael Thomas on offense is going to make a huge impact. But on defense as well, you're doing all this without Quan Alexander, and we know how important he is to this group. And one more point I want to make before we break as we break down this game, Musso. The hype for Paulson Adebo in the preseason and the first game of this year was warranted. He is balling out right now. And you can tell by the snap count. Paulson Adebo in this game played, as I'm pulling it up, 70 snaps, compared to Roby, who only played 2 snaps. So he's clearly won that job, has Paulson Adebo, and he's playing really well opposite of Marshawn Lattimore, right now making one of the best cornerback duos in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was kind of just – I talked a lot about Paulson Adebo during the offseason with all the Saints, what they were trying to do at cornerback, where they bringing in this guy or bringing in that guy or whatever, and it never felt settled. And there was a lot of talk about Paulson Adebo, and all he had to do is just start building on practices, and there was always that opportunity there for him if he could build on those practices to come in and play a huge role early for this team as a rookie because they liked him so much. Right now, he's looking like the steal of the draft. I mean, is he not?
Yes, especially after you try to trade up for a first-round corner unsuccessfully. You get a really good one in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm a big Paulson Adebo fan. I think he's been great. It only bolsters that cornerback room now that you have Bradley Roby as well. And I thought Marshawn Lattimore looked great coming back 1 week after surgery too, man. That's kind of how you figured that injury would go. He played with it without the surgery, just casted it up and against the Packers, sit out a week, put the cast back on it, and go out there and play. He was great. Now, I will say the loss of Teron Armstead does bother me a little bit. I know Ian Rappaport has reported now that he's going to probably be out several weeks. I'm curious to see when they can get Eric McCoy back. He's not on IR, so that's a good sign. But if you don't have McCoy, you don't have Armstead, that worries me a little bit about the Saints' offensive line. They were able to run the ball great, and that was massive. The pass protection, it still wasn't. Jameis got hit a lot, and Jameis was under pressure a lot. But because they had the running game, it was able to offset that a little bit. So it was a better week for the offensive line, but the pass protection without McCoy still gives me good pause for concern. And if you throw in no Teron Armstead with that for a while too, that does worry me a little bit. It's the best offensive line in the NFL when it's healthy, but right now they're not healthy.
Yeah, Teron Armstead will miss several weeks with an arm injury. According to Ian Rappaport, James Hurst will fill in at left tackle. The Saints also still without Eric McCoy at center. He will be replaced by Cesar Ruiz. We'll break down that as well as the game against the Giants coming up this Sunday later on in the week. For now, we'll recap the betting weekend from NFL Week 3 and college football Week 4. That's coming up on the other side of this break. You're listening to The Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Starting in 1974, Central Plumbing has served Baton Rouge and surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Through these tough and trying times, we want you to remember that the Payne family is here to continue to support and serve you. As a multi-generational business, there is no job that is too big or too small. Residential, commercial, industrial, hospitality, we're here for anything you need. 24/7, 365. Give us a call, 225-925-8552.
It's week 5 in the prep football season. We get you started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview. Catholic High and Lafayette Christian kick off at 7, immediately followed by a full 2 hours of the Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show on YouTube, CST, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Time to recap the betting weekend, Mario. It was a pretty good betting weekend all around for us here. I know you alluded to it at the top of the show. 6-0 for me, now 18-8-1 overall, 7-1 on the underdog play of the week. We cashed tickets on NC State plus 10, Louisville minus 1.5, Kentucky minus the 5, the Rams plus the 1.5, Saints Pats under 42.5, and the Chargers plus the 6.5. And in the process, we learned a lot in the NFL and in college football.
Yes, whole lot to break down, including your 6-0 weekend. Again, congratulations. Meanwhile, Mario is 16-10 on the season with his picks, 5-3 with my underdog picks. This week, I'm 3-2 so far, and for the first time in our underdog segment, I am 2-0 because I had the Saints plus 2.5 at the Patriots, which hit. I had Arkansas, who dominated Texas A&M, plus 4.5. Michigan State minus 5 versus Nebraska. Spartans did not come through. It still won that game by a field goal. Very bad pick by me to take Clemson in the points against NC State. Musso told you otherwise. He was right. I was wrong. Clemson is terrible. We'll get into that in a second. The Titans covered the 5.5-point spread against the Indianapolis Colts. And then we got the Eagles plus 3.5 at the Dallas Cowboys tonight. And I got the Eagles now.
So, we're going to get into Monday Night Football as well. First, though, you said we'll talk Clemson. So, what we learned from the college football weekend, number of things. We could start with Arkansas. We could start with Wisconsin. We could start with Oklahoma, really, even if we wanted to. But we're going to start with Clemson because, Mario, the number one thing I learned is that after Clemson's loss, the ACC will now likely be left out of the college football playoff this season.
Yeah, I mean, Wake Forest, ACC champs. I saw that in chat this morning, and I thought in my head that could be a real scenario.
That's why I said likely be left out, just because, I don't want to rule out the fact it's football. It's crazy. Anything can happen. Just one of those teams randomly goes undefeated and wins the conference. But that doesn't seem likely. Clemson is your team to really go in there, and their offense is just bad. It's not good. The DJ Uiagalelei you're seeing is a far cry from the one you saw when he filled in for Trevor Lawrence against Notre Dame.
Yeah, and his offense isn't doing him any favors. His line, his receivers, his running game, all of it is non-existent for Clemson. And my reasoning in making the pick on Fridays, you see a lot of those efforts from Clemson from year to year when they struggle with these kind of teams. They're still dominant on defense, which they were going into that game, but this is just not a very good football team. And honestly, I was a little surprised to see them still ranked. I mean, I guess that they still had that cachet, but this is a team that struggled against Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech's an okay team. I know they got a big win over the weekend, but to lose this game to NC State in a game that honestly you should have lost by a lot more, in my opinion. I thought the Wolfpack had some opportunities to win that game that they let slip by, but Clemson right now is just not a good product on the field at all. I almost feel bad for DJ Uiagalelei, and I don't feel very bad for Dabo Swinney because ever since he had that take that Ohio State should not be a top 10 team, things have not gone very well for his squad.
Ohio State shouldn't be a top 10 team for what it's worth, but I mean, yeah, neither should Clemson. Clemson really probably shouldn't even be ranked in the top 25. And they barely are this week. Now,
How the mighty fall.
For what it's worth, though, we're running Clemson down into the mud and talking about them. And if you want to, I know we also mentioned in this segment, we talk about some of the early lines in college football that are surprising to us, and Clemson is one of them. I got to find it here. Hold on, I didn't write it down in the document. Where is their game?
It's too much. It's a lot of points.
It's way too many points. I don't even understand it. Oh, I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. Hold
Looking
on.
like one of these.
There
NFL.
it is. So Clemson is at home versus Boston College this week. Boston College is 4-0, just beat Missouri in overtime. That was a wild game. Clemson, as we said, cannot score points very well. They needed 2 overtimes to score 21 points last week. Clemson is a 16-point favorite at home against Boston College. 16 points.
No business being a 3-score favorite, man. That's unreal. That sounds like free money on the surface. Boston College, I saw a good amount of that game. They have a physical team.
They do, and look, I'm not gonna sit here and try to sell you on Boston College's defense. It's not a great unit. They give up almost 300 yards a game, but it's not terrible. But the fact is, Clemson doesn't even average 300 yards a game offensively, and they only average 21 points. Like, for Clemson to be favored by 16 points right now just seems absolutely wild to me. And honestly, that could go up, Mario. I want to ask Raphael about this game tomorrow and what movement to expect, because I feel like there's a lot of people, maybe public who are just going to be like, oh, it's Clemson. You know, they're bound to break out of it at some point. Let's throw more on them. They're at home.
It's me.
Coming off a big loss. That could go up even more.
Yeah, it might. That was me last week, and I was very wrong. But again, they're not a very good football team. The ACC as a whole is not a very good product. Going to be interesting to see how far Clemson can fall here. Not a spread that I like on the surface if I'm a Clemson Tiger fan.
Then there's Arkansas. What did we learn about Arkansas? We learned that Arkansas, I think you termed it this way in pre-show. Would you say they
From a cool story to a legit good team?
From a cool story to a good team. They hammered Texas A&M all day long.
Yeah, defensively, they're legit, man. And I thought at first, they have a couple of good players on defense. They can be scrappy. They can compete in a couple of games, but they are a really well-coached, pretty complete football team. I mean, offensively, the running game that they have, averaging almost 300 yards, running the ball per game. Burks is a guy that was a second-team All-SEC receiver last season. He makes a big play in the game against A&M. And then the guys that we were just talking about on defense, Bumper Poole, Grant Morgan, Catalan, who's been one of the best safeties in the SEC, if not the country. Those guys are playing really well as a unit. They're being good leaders. And Barry Odom and Kendall Briles right now, maybe the best 1-2 coordinator combination in America.
It's working very well. I'm glad you brought up Treylon Burks. He was all over the place Saturday against Texas A&M. KJ Jefferson, man, they're starting to call him Cam Newton Jr.
Oh,
I mean, I think pump the brakes a little bit there. Cam Newton threw the ball better than he does, but you can't deny what they're doing in the running game. And look, I was not high on Arkansas at all this year. One reason was because their schedule. They've navigated September undefeated, and that includes wins over Texas and Texas A&M. Look, they improved to 2-0 in the Southwest Conference this weekend. Shout out to Arkansas. I mean, they're Southwest Conference champs right now. So I didn't expect this from KJ Jefferson, though. That's one reason I was so I thought to myself, I said, KJ Jefferson's the guy who came in 2019 in Tiger Stadium and looked at me. Ain't that KJ Jefferson anymore, man. It's not. He's way better. And if we could, before we take a break, take a moment to collectively kind of point and laugh at the SEC for not believing in Arkansas that they could beat A&M and now sticking the 2 versus 8 matchup of the country at 11 a.m. next week.
I have one more thought. And like I said on Friday's show, maybe you don't trust KJ Jefferson, but I definitely do not trust Zach Calzada, who's out here hitting his center in the helmet on interceptions. And think about KJ Jefferson's journey, dude. How can you not be happy for this man? In 2019, he was playing for Chad Morris, starting in Tiger Stadium, fed to the Wolves, having to play against that team in the midst of a 24-game stretch where you won one game in the SEC. He's hung around. Now he's the starting quarterback for a top 10 Arkansas squad, and he's still really limited. They're going to run into some challenges, including this weekend in Athens, but that is quite a journey for our man KJ Jefferson.
Other early lines that caught the eye in college football. Naturally, you're going to look at Tuscaloosa, where Alabama is a 14.5-point favorite versus Ole Miss. Just go ahead and say it now. I love Ole Miss as an underdog in this game. I would take the points all day long. That was a one-possession game last year when it had no business being. Ole Miss is way improved. Bama maybe left a little bit to be desired a couple different times. They definitely have, if you listen to Nick Saban. 14.5, pretty impressive there. Georgia, 18.5, minus 18.5 versus Arkansas. Georgia's very good, and I expect them to win that game, but are they really going to beat Arkansas by 3 touchdowns? I don't know. I'm not sure. I think Arkansas can scheme their way into keeping that close for a while. NC State, letdown spot, minus 19.5 versus Louisiana Tech. Mario, the Bulldogs can score, and it's a letdown spot for NC State, the biggest win in their program in a while. And then this one, I just don't understand at all. Florida State, who is 0-4 and just looked terrible outside of one half against Notre Dame, is a 4.5-point favorite at home versus Syracuse. Syracuse probably isn't that good, but does Florida State really deserve to be favored over anybody?
No, they lost to Jacksonville State. Period. End of story.
Can we fit in some NFL trends real quick before we go to break? Rookie quarterbacks, 1-10 straight up and against the spread so far this year. What was the one win?
It was Mac Jones over Zach Wilson.
So that really shouldn't even count. The Chiefs are now 0-3 against the spread this season and 1-12-1 in their last 14 games, including playoffs. And get ready, because it's probably going to happen again. The Chiefs have opened as 6-point favorites on the road versus the Eagles in week 4. Why?
The Chiefs covering the spread right now. I told you this before the show. They're like you walk into the casino, you go to the roulette table, and it's hit red 12 straight times. And you think, okay, is it going to hit black this time? And some people think it's bound to be black, and they lose their money. The people who keep riding the red, the Chiefs not covering, are making a lot of money.
I'm interested to see if that one goes up, man. Their defense is the worst defense in the league, and they have been favored by a better than a touchdown or better in 3 of the 4 games so far. 3 of the 4 games. Another great week for underdogs in the NFL. Another winning week. Now 9-6 in week 3. One more game to go tonight. 30-17 against the spread so far in the NFL season, or the underdogs. And then this one, our guy Jeff Duncan on Twitter pointed out about the New Orleans Saints. Since 2018 as an underdog, the Saints 10-2 straight up. Not just against the spread, straight up 10-2.
Wow. Keep riding the Saints and keep riding whoever is playing the Kansas City Chiefs.
And hang out and listen to us for one more segment. Tyler Moody joins the show. Give you some picks for the slate in Major League Baseball tonight. Stick around. Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And our topic today is about savings. What is savings?
Hancock Whitney isn't just a bank for our clients. We're investing in our hometowns, making life better for everyone. So keep dreaming. We've got your back.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Yo, Jake here for Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic, the place that's going to be convenient for you during an inconvenient time. Look, you hear me talk about my 4 boys all the time, and sometimes things like stitches, well, they happen. And in fact, they have. And Patient Plus is always taking care of us, just like they'll do the same for you. And now with 7 convenient locations across the Baton Rouge area, open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And also at patientplusuc.com, you can sign up for your appointment on the way to the clinic. That's Patient Plus Urgent Care Clinic. Get in and get better.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal.
Join us for a Tuesday edition of Hunt and Hill. Barrett Salee from CBS Sports will jump aboard to talk all things SEC football. And we're getting you ready for LSU and Auburn. Hunt and Hill, noon to 2 weekdays on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Happy Monday, people. Time to wrap up the show with some Major League Baseball talk, and for that we welcome on Tyler Moody, as we do every day. Tyler, thanks for the time. How was your weekend, bro?
Hey, man, things were pretty good. Good to see you guys again here on this Monday. How you guys doing?
Doing well, man. We had a good gambling week ourselves here. Mario's waiting on the outcome of tonight's game, and I cashed a 6-0 week through college and NFL combined. So it was a good weekend.
Man.
Good weekend. Not much really on the Major League Baseball slate tonight though. Only a couple games.
No, there's not. Yeah, the only thing we have left really to look at is Oakland. So what I have devised is just 3 games from that game. Right, that's it.
Okay.
3 plays from that game. You guys know I hate betting Seattle, right?
Yep.
Not necessarily my favorite, but I'm going to go on the other side of it and take 3 plays from Oakland. I'm going to take the A's over, which is at 3.5 in this game, which is a little crazy. So we'll take the Oakland over 3.5 runs. I'm taking the over first 5 total for the game, over 4.5 total. And then Matt Olson to hit a home run at plus 300 are the 3 plays I'll be looking at from this one single game.
Okay, we like it.
Now, I do have a question about the American League East wild card, and we're gonna do our best to break this down by completely avoiding what happened the last 3 days in Fenway Park.
I wanted to talk about it. I knew you guys were going to bring it up. I mentioned to you on Friday, if Garrett Cole sets a tone on Friday and threw a really good game and the Yankees got off to a good start, that it looked like maybe they could sweep the series, and then Giancarlo Stanton goes bananas and carries them. So it was quite wild.
I was about to say, Garrett Cole did really well, but Giancarlo Stanton is really the thorn in everybody's side right now, I feel like. But that race, it's not at all decided. I mean, so the Yankees have 1-game lead for the first wild card spot. Boston's right there in the second wild card spot. And Toronto is right behind them, a game out of the second wild card spot. And then there's Seattle 2 games out. So it's still jumbled up with about 6 regular season games left. I mean, chaos could very much ensue in that situation. What do you see there happening with that race?
Something fun, right? Good for baseball. Whenever you have the Yankees and the Red Sox going at it down the stretch, like whatever ends up happening, I don't know. I'm not the man that wants to try and tell you exactly what's going to happen on these games between rivals. I'm sorry, I got some stuff going on in the background here that's distracting me a little bit. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Whenever you get these 2 teams that are racing down the stretch, it always makes for really good baseball, man. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
All good. Got to be able to multitask, man. So Tyler likes the Athletics over 3.5 runs tonight. He likes over 4.5. He likes Matt Olson to hit a home run plus 300. I might have read that wrong, but either way, we're grateful for your time.
No, you're right. No, that's exactly what we have, man.
Oh, the first 5 innings.
Matt
there
Olson,
we go.
Yeah, over 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings.
There we go. We like it. Tyler went 2-2 over the weekend, but I'm confident we'll have a winning night tonight. Thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, boys. Sorry, I won't be busy tomorrow.
You're good, my man. You're good.
All good. Love Tyler. Love Tyler's insight every day.
Monday Night Football, you have the Eagles tonight, yeah?
Yes.
Plus 3.5?
Plus 3.5.
I like the
as
Cowboys.
underdogs.
I'm on the Cowboys minus 3.5.
Yeah, I like the Eagles to win outright tonight, man. I think the Cowboys, they're off to a really good start to the season. 2-0, putting up big numbers, but they're really finesse so far. And I think tonight they're running into a Philadelphia Eagles team that's really aggressive, running the ball. They know what they are with Jalen Hurts. They have a salty defense, too, with Fletcher Cox and Sweat and Slay and some of these guys as well. And I think they surprise some people. They go to Dallas and win tonight.
I opened Twitter and Brian Haldane is tweeting about R. Kelly. So if you want to laugh, go read that tweet. But anyway, the Eagles defense has been much better than I think a lot of people thought it would be kind of this early on in the season. I also do like over the total in this game. You can get it 51 or 51.5. Dak goes over a lot, and Jalen Hurts has been putting up some good numbers as well. So maybe some points in this one tonight as well.
Mario Jerez alongside Matt Musso signing off on a Monday edition of Early Line. Stay tuned for After Further Review with Matt Moscona. That's coming up next here on 104.5